In the context of the Chinese Exclusion Acts here, I just want to close off with some commentary on the history of the United States. Now, folks who have taken History 202 will note the famous quote from R.G. Ingersoll, the Republican who opposed the Chinese Exclusion Acts: "Let us retrace our steps, repeal the law, and accomplish what we justly desire by civilized means. Let us treat China as we would England, and above all, let us respect the rights of men." Of course, Ingersoll's argument was unsuccessful, and overwhelmingly Republicans supported the racist Chinese Exclusion Acts. In fact, the only major political party to not support the Chinese Exclusion Acts at the turn of the century was the Socialist Party. Now, I do want to make note that, of course, the Chinese communities in the United States were not only located in the West and in major cities. In fact, you also have a significant Mississippi Delta Chinese population and even local Chinese communities in Lake Charles, Louisiana. This photo on the right-hand side is from 1892. The caption by Maud Reed reads, "The Columbus Day Parade down Ryan Street from 1892, celebrating the 400th anniversary of the founding of America." Of course, you could get distracted by this mythical representation of Columbus Day, blah, blah, blah. But the most important description for us is at the extreme left, Bluestein's store, next to Krager's store, the first brick store in town, then some saloons, the Chinese laundry, and more saloons. So you have evidence of a Chinese laundry in Lake Charles from 1892. Then in 1912, on the photo on the left-hand side of the slide, from a caption that was written by Maud Reed in 1950, you have a description of this 1912 building. On the corner was the Lake Charles Bank, which went out of existence some years ago. If that caption is written in 1950, we presume when it went out of existence was during the Great Depression. Then the quote continues, "It is now occupied by the First National Bank." The old Chinese shop and Thiel, the tailor, were next door on Ryan Street. So in 1912, you have evidence of a Chinese shop and Thiel, the tailor, on Ryan Street in the downtown section of the city. So just to give you a sense that all of these dynamics that we're talking about were affecting Lake Charles, where McNeese State University is as well. Of course, at the turn of the century, we know that there were a series of lynchings and what is called in Russian pogrom in the United States. So you have lynchings and pogroms. The map here is data that is compiled from Tuskegee Institute data from the passage of the Chinese Exclusion Acts until the Red Summer, the end of the Red Summer in 1921. Now, according to the Tuskegee Institute, there were 3,500 racially motivated lynchings and other murders committed in the southern United States alone between 1865 and 1900. But this trend continued and did not just attack black folks, although it was overwhelmingly black folks. And then you also have highlights in the circles in this maps from major massacres such as the Tulsa Massacre or the Tulsa Pogrom, which has been remembered more recently. But if you look at the top left, you see concentrations of red dots in two circles, where you have the Rock Springs Massacre of 1885, which was a massacre of Chinese immigrant citizens and immigrants who were not citizens yet in Rock Springs, Wyoming, near the Sweetwater County, where white miners were jealous of Chinese for their employment, and overseers stoked these racist sentiments. Then additionally, you have another circumstance of the Hell's Canyon Massacre of 1887. These were two famous anti-Chinese pogroms resulting in the murders of 10s, 20s, 30 individuals at a time, burning down of the Chinatowns in these locations as well. So just these massive massacres of local Chinese communities occurred, and this was after the Chinese Exclusion Acts was passed. So the anti-immigration legislation was passed first, then folks felt like this motivated their anti-Chinese sentiment, and they were justified, and then you had extreme violence after that immigration policy was passed. So, for your post, go ahead and comment on any of the surprising features or any questions that you might have about this history, and then we'll move on.